He's so lovable, isn't he?
Yeah, you know, he wrote me the nicest fan letter I ever received in my life.
That's terrific.
Well,
Now he's blushing. You got him blushing.
well, as you know, your film is my favorite. So,
I'm your favorite,
yes, that's right.
And they're gonna, the university is going to, I suggested that they have a form of Sons of the Desert there and call it Our Wife.
They should,
So they're
yeah.
going to, but they haven't gotten around to it yet. So I wrote him, I said, I hope you get around to farming the club while I'm still on Earth.
That would be nice.
That would be
wonderful.
terrific.
It would be a historical thing. I mean, it would be unique because of the subject and me being in the pictures and doing the paintings and all. I think it would be unique. And I wanted to talk to you and Hank and Lori about. I'm trying to work it out so they'll have these pictures made up like these in the book, only larger, and for sale. I think a lot of the fans would, especially if I'm still alive, to autograph them.
That would be fantastic. You know what I was wondering? You said your first film was 1919, but how did you break into films?
My father had a practice in Oakland, and I was monkeying around an amateur way, photography things. And anyhow, an ad appeared in the paper that they were going to, they were looking for talent for a picture down at the old Chaplin studio at Niles, California. I wrote them a letter and sent them photographs, and they wrote me back to come on down. They'd like to talk to me. And I was, I think, 17 then. And so I went down, and they taught me into a course in makeup for $35. So anyhow, they did make a picture. They were extras, really. I met them afterwards, you know, when I was in stock and photograph. But they were a fly-by-night company, and they knew something about making pictures, and he knew how to operate the camera, and they were going to make a picture. Well, I ended up doing the lead in it, and the hired man that did the heavy work around the studio, he was the comedian, and we were the two leading people, and we used to go out on location, and we were on location in downtown Oakland when the armistice was signed. I can tell by that. And everybody stopped what they were doing and drove all around and yelled and screamed and everything. And people looked at us because I had that awful yellow makeup that they used to have. Well, they were going to build a studio in Hollywood, so they said. And so I had the movie book by then, and I got my father to sell his practice and move me to Los Angeles. And I didn't know anything about it, but when one of his patients gave him a letter of introduction, he told him that we were going to go in the movies. And so it was Ernest Traxler, the production manager at Universal City. And so when I got down here and got settled, I went out to Universal on the big red cars. You know, it was the only way you could get out there then. And I went to this Ernest Traxler, and he took me over to Eddie Lyons and Lee Moran. Do you remember them? They were comedians, quite well-known comedians. So they took my name and telephone number, and they had a character woman there, but she got sick about 2 weeks later, and they gave me a call. They said, "Is this Babe London?" You know, my real name is Ruth Glover. And so I said, "Who is this?" And I thought someone was ribbing me, you know, because I wasn't used to the name. And so they they said, could you come out to Universal City right away? And I said, oh yes, and out I flew, and I got there, and I went to their office, and they said, did you bring your makeup? And I said, no. I didn't even know enough to take my makeup with me. This Jean Deroux, the director, is out here, a resident now, and so he looked kind of wild-eyed, and he turned to Mildred Moore. She was an ex-college girl, and he said, Mildred, would you take this young lady to your dressing room and give her some makeup? Well, it paid off that I got my $35 there, so I at least knew how to make up. And
What film was that?
I think it was called The Expert Elopers, but I don't imagine you could get a print of it now. But it's very old, and those films made on the old-fashioned film, it was highly explosive and deteriorated. So anyhow, I was sitting there putting my makeup on, and I was thrilled to death. Oh, here I am, an actress, and I smelt smoke. And I kind of looked out of the corner of my eye, and there was Mildred looking very bored. And I thought, oh my God, it's the first time I'd ever seen a woman smoke.
Oh!
And I thought to myself, oh, here I am, an actress and a woman smoking. And so anyhow, we finally we went out on location that afternoon, and there I was, working, and people were standing around, although not as many people as you get today, but people would pay attention and look, and I did the lead opposite Lee Moran there in that first picture. It was one of those comedies that there are only 4 principals in, and anyhow I did that, and so evidently I got by. So they called me back later on. I did another picture,